Live. Hello and welcome to our third episode of the Bytes podcast, once again featuring Bald Man and Firecrotch, but we have a replacement Firecrotch.
So that's why we're keeping this gimmick running.
Wow.
Ferg didn't see that coming.
Not that one. I was ready for the ginger, but
I wasn't ready for that one either, I'll be honest.
So, about the podcast stuff, general stuff to say about yourself, Chris?
If you guys watch ATGN, you already know who I am. But I'm Chris. I am one of the regular hosts of All Things Good and Nerdy. And I'm here to talk tech on Adaha's show. Go team.
What about you, Chris?
So I'm occasionally on YouTube. I guess my qualification to be here is that by day I am a software engineer. I like diving into tech all the time, and I actually went ahead and dove off the deep end of stupid or early adopter, whichever you want to count, and I'm on this show from Windows 8 machine today.
You poor bastard.
It's just an interface issue. That's all it really is. The interface is not designed for PCs. It's designed for tablets.
It's very much a touch-oriented interface, but it's definitely interesting and worth looking into if you're curious. So, and right now the price isn't bad.
No, that's
$40,
like
I think.
$40 to upgrade any version of Windows, I think.
Yeah.
XP Service Pack 3 and up, $40. If you bought a machine since July 2nd, that's $15 for a special upgrade on that machine.
See, I'll probably download the upgrade. I don't know if I'm going to install it.
It's like, I got it, but I don't know if I actually
I can put on one of my old laptops and play around, I guess.
You can do an in-place upgrade, which I've heard is really easy. I actually made an ISO and burned it to DVD and wiped and went with a clean install, so I didn't carry over any software from the previous install.
That's not bad. If I could find my Office discs on my old laptop, I would do that, but I seem to have lost the install disc for them.
See, I was tempted of going quad booting on my box here with basically with a Windows 7, a Windows 8, a Fedora, and I'm actually working on Hackintoshing this bitch right now. Just because I can and I have nothing better to do.
What? No Windows ME?
Fuck me.
I just got you to say fuck me. That's all I wanted. So I got a question for you. I went and looked at the show notes. The last story in here, did you put this one in there that says, holy fuck, this is beautiful, apple.com/iMac?
You know who put that in there.
I thought so.
I
was like, there's no way Adahay put this in there.
That was Firecrotch.
Not this one, the other one.
I was going to say, I don't even have access to the show notes right now. So.
Oh, I thought I sent you the link to those in the email.
Oh, man, I might have just skimmed over it, but
anyway, I guess we'll get right into the news part and the tech part. Some of the bigger things going on right now. We'll get into Windows 8 probably a bit later into the show. Right now, let's talk about the Nexus now coming in 3 sizes. Yeah. There's the Nexus 4, which is basically a phone. You can get it without contract for like $300, I think, or $200. It's really cheap. The Nexus 7, which you're already familiar with, though they are getting rid of the 8 gig version and adding a 32 gig version.
And they're selling the 16 gig is in place of the 8 gig now, correct? For the same price?
Yep. And then the Nexus 10 is getting released, which is being manufactured by Samsung.
Oh, it looks like a sweet machine.
It's going to be the highest resolution tablet on the planet, actually. It's going to be a 10.05-inch display with a 2560 by 1600, which is over 300 ppi. It's over 4 million pixels right in your hand.
Damn.
And they're looking at a price point on this. Now this is where it's going to get you. 16 gig, $400.
That's not bad.
Yeah, 32 gig is 500. This thing right here, which I believe is This is 16 gigs, was 500, and it's the Samsung Note 10.1. This is the one me and Jess use. I fucking love this thing, by the way. So it's $100 cheaper.
Have they given any of the pricing information on the 4G version that's coming out a few months from now?
Of the 10?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen anything on that. The only one we have pricing information on the mobile data value is the Nexus 7 32 gig with mobile data is going to be $300, and that's no contract or anything. That's just $300.
That's pretty sweet. No, I mean, and the phone looks really good too. They took I think it's the LG Optimus. They basically purchased the Optimus from LG, and LG did some reworking of some slight tweaks, but it's going to run pure Android on it with nothing else on top of it. It's going to be Android 4.2.
Yeah, and it's actually looking really good too. It's a super fast. I think it's crisp, 4.7-inch screen. That's what I was trying to get to. A 4.7-inch screen with a 320 ppi on the phone as well, which is still ridiculously good. Definitely going in to compete with the iPhone and the 3G or the SG whatever Samsung Galaxy 3.
I would argue that this is just showing that more and more Apple's getting further behind, because Android's innovating a lot more than Apple right now for sure.
Oh, we all know. I hate to say it, but Apple's innovator died.
That's true. And now they're just worrying more about their profit margins, how to keep making the money right versus coming up with the brand new ideas. I mean, look at the iPhone 5. What was new? It's a slightly taller screen, and they put a better processor in there. There's nothing that changes things on there, whereas Google worries and does more of these software updates all the time. Like, their software is ridiculously powerful. iOS is about the same as when you bought it.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I wonder about is whenever we're looking at this, you see that it's like two dogs chasing each other around. I mean, you've got Apple came out with the 7-inch to they're going to tout it as better than the Nexus 7, but they wanted to go head to head with the Nexus 7, and then you've got Google turning around and coming out with a 10-inch to go against the original iPad size.
If Apple really wanted to go to war with the Nexus 7, they shouldn't have priced it at $329.
Well, speaking of that, and going right along the iPad thing, did anyone see the ads on Amazon attacking?
It's on the front page.
It's straight up attacking the iPad Mini,
yeah.
because it's like, hey, why would you buy this thing for $329 when our Kindle Fire is better and it's only $199? The Mini is just a pile of Apple shit.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't see any reason to say that they aren't going after Google, especially after the middle of that press conference where they spent a good 10, maybe 15 minutes comparing the iPad Mini to the Nexus 7 head-to-head. They had images and specs up there one-to-oneing them.
Yeah, they're trying to fight the Nexus 7 and the Kindle Fire HD and all of that because those are the equivalent things, but they mispriced it completely.
Oh.
They want $130 more than any of those tablets just for the base model. I mean, and here's the thing. I was reading an article. It was on a PC World today that John C. Dvorak wrote, and he agreed. He said the same thing about missing the price point. He goes, if they wanted to really kill those, they should have sold them for $179. Taken a hit on it, but they would have wiped everyone else out.
Apple doesn't take hits on their products.
I know, but that's how you win.
Oh,
and then they would gouge you in the third generation, basically, after nobody else exists to compete with them. I mean, that's how it could have been. I don't know. The iPad Mini just, it seems like ridiculous to me.
See, I think Android has too much of a root. There's no way they could single stroke kill it. Even in part of the market, and I think that they realized that, and that's why they just said, all right, ours is the premium device, we're going to charge a premium price for it. We're not even going to, we say we're better, and we know we're going to go head to head with them, but we're not going to try and compete on price. Ours is a premium product. You'll pay premium.
They're not
for
even
it.
trying to compete on performance though either. That's where it comes down to. It's like you can't even watch HD movies or television on an iPad Mini.
But excuse me, Apple doesn't try and compete on performance though. They try and compete on the experience. That's what all their stuff is built around, is the experience of using the Apple product. No, I'm not bullshit.
Oh, I know, but I always find that to be the silliest freaking thing ever. It's like, it's no different. I've used Apple products. I tend to hate their horrible user interfaces.
See, here's the thing though, is that the Apple products aren't necessarily geared towards the more technology enthusiast people. They're more geared towards the consumers at large. is my personal opinion. Granted, I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, I enjoy them, but I'm heavily leaning towards upgrading to Android for my next cell phone because I like the route they're going. But Android is more targeted towards tech enthusiasts, people who like to play with their technology, figure out ways to tweak it, whereas the Apple product, like the iPhone, the iPad, is designed towards, here, give me a toy to play with. I don't have to think. It does everything for me. I just launch my apps.
I always thought with their naming of their OSs for Android, they were geared towards fat kids.
But I don't know. Personal opinion there. I just think Apple missed the mark with how they priced here.
Yeah, there's definitely a big case of that going on. And then there's the other thing, though, that Chris, you and I have had this discussion a little bit before, where you're bought into an ecosystem. I mean, all of your media is in iTunes in some fashion or another. All of your apps are bought on Apple. You know, there's a financial investment for you now to consider, you know, migrating from Apple to Android and keeping all of your current functionality.
That's true.
I see cake.
I do too. Do we have to sing now?
I will cut you.
You'll cut me? All I heard is cut you.
I swear to God, I will cut you. But, don't do it. Talk about tech stuff, damn it. I think she timed this. She wasn't supposed to be home for like another 2 hours.
Well played. Yay!
Anyways.
I forgot what I was talking about now.
I do too. We're talking about the iPad mini and how much it sucks at everything. That's what it was.
Just saying how people get bought into into an ecosystem, and the idea of switching OS becomes more than just buying that new device. There's a whole financial investment of moving your apps, your media, anything else that you're toting around that's locked into that one OS to be able to kind of migrate your whole experience to another one.
Yeah. That's the tough thing. I mean, that's why a lot of your people in the tech industry have multiple platforms they have for things. They have like an iPhone, an Android tablet, or vice versa.
And then they have it worse because, I mean, they get there's a paid app out there, and then they've got to buy it on every device that they're...
If it's offered at all. And plus, It's going to get even worse now with the Microsoft Surface tablet out there.
Yeah, I don't know how well Microsoft's going to be able to fight in this market. They're coming in really, really late.
If they can get the app developers to buy into it, and if they can incentivize people to build apps for their system, then I think they have a chance. If they can like go out there and say like, we will pay you to make your app for our system, and then you can charge for it, because that's what they're going to have to do on some of these to get people to do it.
I forget what Apple exec made the statement, but he said that the Surface is a confused and I forget what the exact words he used for, but he basically said that the Surface is dead on arrival. And from what I've heard about the advertising of the Surface RT versus the Pro 8 version, I agree with him. It's pretty much dead on arrival as is. I mean, from what I've heard, it's a really sturdy, well-performing piece of hardware. But what a lot of people don't realize is you've got the RT version, which is basically strictly a tablet, and it much like the iPad, it can only run apps out of its own store.
Right, and they did a bad job of pointing that out when they advertised it.
You're going to have a lot of people like, oh, I can get this cheap RT version that's going to be like a home edition, and I'll go in and install my stuff, and they get home and first time they try to install something that they wanted, and it doesn't work, they're going to be pissed, and that's going to spread.
But that being said, Microsoft's going to throw money at this to make it succeed, because they have to have it succeed.
But I think that they, even though they might be trying to do that with like the pop-up stores and stuff, from what I've heard, because I've been following Paul Thurrott and Win Super Site and his show on this week on the Twit network, they're purposefully not not declaring the difference between RT and Pro 8.
Well, one thing that Windows 8's tablets do have going for them is stupid people with too much money. Because, and I'm saying this specifically because Razer, you may be familiar with the company Razer. They make keyboards, mice, and whatnot. And more recently, they make a laptop that's ridiculously expensive and stupid. But they are making a gaming tablet using Windows 8. Oh yeah, this thing is amazing.
Just a little bit.
Let me. I don't know how to do screen share on this. Son of a bitch.
Mouse.
Share screens. No. Yeah, just this. Can you see this lovely looking thing? That is the Razer tablet.
That's stupid.
Buttons attached to the side of it.
There was another one I've seen that they were doing for Android also.
Yeah, this is just... I mean, this thing has to weigh like 6 pounds. It's about 2 inches
takes
thick.
The portability aspect out.
Yep. There you go. Stop screen share. Stop screen share.
I don't know. I want to have a chance to sit down and actually play with one of the Windows tablets. I haven't gone up to Best Buy since they came out. I'm assuming they might have a floor model there that people are allowed to screw around with, but I'm intrigued with how the smart cover or whatever works on it. That's not called a smart cover because that's what Apple calls theirs, but the touch keyboard and the type keyboard, there's two different ones. I want to try those and see how they work. I don't think I want to own a Windows tablet, but I want to play with one because I'm curious.
I don't have a desire to have a Windows tablet, but I think the next laptop I buy, of course, that's a while away, would be a touchscreen laptop.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're moving towards, though, too. Microsoft wants you to touch the screen with the design of Windows 8.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I saw on the Windows website where they were linking to where they were trying... they had on there the Mac style all-in-one monitors that were touchscreen, like 27-inch touchscreen monitor. That's your entire computer. And they're leaning toward, and I mean, the more they can get you on a touchscreen with Windows 8, the better. It's just what it's designed for.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Before we start moving off the tablet thing, I wanted to bring up the fact that Apple also announced an iPad 4 at this press conference, and that irks me a little bit. Considering I just bought my iPad 3 about 5 months ago, and now it's been phased out completely.
Well, Apple needs your money.
See, here's the problem. A lot of game developers in iOS are only building games for the past 2 previous generations of iPads. So the next one comes out a year from now, my iPad probably won't be supported after that.
That's why you get an Android.
I know, and that's what I'm starting to think on this one, is I can buy an Android tablet, it'll last me a few years, versus Apple.
Especially the Nexus 10. It's cheap.
Nexus 10 looks awesome. Man, if I hadn't bought my iPad back then, I would be getting a Nexus 10, I'll be honest.
If we hadn't just bought this, we would have if I would have known the 10 was coming out, we would have held off for the Nexus 10.
Is it still within 30 days of buying it? Maybe you can take it back.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, fuck, why didn't I think of that?
It's not a big deal. I can just pick up a Nexus 10 and have it too.
Yeah. See, the problem with the Google ones like that is there's really nowhere to go and try them out.
Staples.
Staples? See, the nearest... Actually, there's Staples in Clarksburg. Never mind, I can do that on my lunch hour.
That was our thought too, because we went to Best Buy and they're like, we don't carry them.
Walmart's got the Nexus 7 now, and I think Office Depot does, but I don't know about the Nexus 10.
Our GameStop has a Nexus 7 you can mess with that they sell.
Yeah, but they put a bunch of GameStop software and crap on top of it, though.
Yeah, they do. But our Staples is where we went to screw around with it. But
so we have a Nook Color, and I finally talked my wife into letting me wipe that and put signage and mod on it.
Nice.
As for an e-reader, man, the new like glow-in-the-dark freaking Kindle thing.
Yeah.
Kindle Paperwhite.
The Paperwhite.
That is baller.
Yeah, I have an old Kindle keyboard I bought about a year and a half ago. It has a 3G on it. If I didn't have that, the Paperwhite would be really attractive, because when I was carpooling and traveling a lot for work, the Kindle was an invaluable tool, because I could have about a bazillion books on there and just read whatever. Or I could buy a new book in the airport while I'm waiting to get on the plane.
Yeah. I guess we'll move on. Talk a little bit about Windows 8, because I know that's what Chris wants to talk about. At least one of you. And
Well, I am Ferg, so...
and how... Let's actually talk about what makes Windows 8 better on the inside. Power management in Windows 8. Man, it is... Because all of because it was designed for a tablet, it makes it that much better for a PC. Its power management's better. Its RAM usage is better from what I've heard.
I haven't gotten yet to where I can actually do any kind of specking on boot up and shutdown times are just amazing compared to Windows 7.
Do you have a solid state hard drive? Because supposedly that makes it even more ridiculous.
I actually have a spinning disk drive. I have a spinning disk drive, and I can be logged in all the way to the Tiles interface from shutdown in probably 20 seconds.
That's pretty sweet.
And I rebooted my work machine, which is Windows 7 today, and to get all the way where I was logged in was over 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then this one, I forget the time test that I took on it last week of how long it actually took it to shut down and start.
Let me play devil's advocate with you. Most Windows machines start up real fast until the first service pack comes out.
Fair enough.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I like some of the advancements I've seen in Windows 8 personally, but
my favorite thing about Windows 8 that I've read, because this is a long overdue change, Windows 8 has actually finally gotten rid of the kernel tick, which is a huge performance increase. Actually, it takes a lot of work off the processor, so it's going to be a lot better in the long run with that. There's a few other things I've read up on, but I really don't know much about it. A little bit talking about a Force ASLR. That I don't know much about. But apparently Force ASLR is useful enough that Microsoft actually backported it to Windows 7 offering it as an update. So I don't know what it is. Cool. I haven't got a chance to look into that yet. And also HEASLR is something else. You have to opt in for it, and it has something to do with DLLs, but I haven't got a chance to screw around figure out much about that yet either.
I haven't gone a whole lot into the deeper inner workings of it yet. This is definitely one thing that I have heard about, and I was impressed. I didn't have to install any drivers when I booted up. My video card works fine. My camera works fine. And from what I've heard, that's due to a new capability they built into it called class drivers, which is where they have a sort of driver that, as long as the device is sort of a recognizable type, it can apply a class to that device and figure out how to integrate it into the system without actually needing to go and fetch 100 drivers from different places. Because I remember working with Windows computers, particularly the networking card and the video cards, where always you had to have the drivers when you formatted the machine. Otherwise your devices may not work when you come back online again. So that's something that was definitely a big help. And with this one, I deleted the partitions and formatted the whole drive, and went and I'm running straight Windows 8 on it right now. As far as the user interface goes, this is definitely the Windows of keyboard shortcuts and hidden things that you kind of that you'll learn how to access them really quickly. And I can show you some of this stuff.
The thing I've heard on this one is once you get used to the start screen versus the start bar, it's not as difficult a transition. It's just the transition from the old way of doing things is rough.
I remember transitioning from 3.1 to 95, and I was...
So do I.
I was like, what the fuck is this?
I was like, oh, this is garbage. Fuck.
Just
Google Chrome.
You can look at this and you can see tablet all over it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And the other thing is everything is designed to scroll horizontally, not vertically. So I mean, everything about this is.
Does your scroll wheel still work there though?
I actually do not have a mouse with a scroll wheel up.
Right. The hell? Are you from the 1920s?
using a touchpad. I'm actually
Oh.
trying to figure out, supposedly there's gestures built into the touchpad. I'm trying to figure that out. But a couple of the neat things that they have over here is on the left, if I bring this up, so this is my ability to switch tiles and over to the desktop.
Okay.
And then on the right, this pops out, and this becomes, so you can see it brought up at the same time, my power, the time, the date, and then a bunch of other crap over here.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to Fedora has a lot of setups like that.
And then if I want to find something, this is, my understanding is this is a lot like Linux is, I can just start typing, so I'll just type GOO, and it automatically brings up,
Right.
flips into searching, and then if I'm not wanting to look for apps, I can go over here and say, look in the store.
Why would you ever want to uninstall Google? That button shouldn't exist.
That was something that I found that I thought was kind of entertaining, is Google has already launched, so actually, and this is another thing, I find myself doing keyboard shortcuts with this a lot, like hitting the Windows key flips you back and forth between the most recent tile you had open.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see I already have Google Search and Google Chrome up here, and one thing Google did right off the bat is they came up with this website, I think it's
There's
googleback.com.
ATGN in there.
Yeah, getyourgoogleback.com, and this is how to basically get your
Okay.
Google Search and Google Chrome back into Windows 8 right off the bat. And this was probably the first thing that I did with the Tiles interface, is put these in here and set them up.
What, you didn't want to run Internet Explorer 10?
But and then another thing that I find interesting about this is the Xbox experience is very much baked into this. Like I actually had to download and install the Xbox Smart Glass app. But if I go up here, this is the games. If I hit games, it's Xbox games right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
It's not Windows games, it's Xbox games. And if I go over here, and let me find it, I've got it sideways somewhere. Video.
I think.
It's Xbox Video right off the bat.
Okay. I mean, it kind of makes sense they would do that. They've developed this whole infrastructure for the console system. Why not move it over to the PC side of things?
Well, I find it interesting that they didn't just move it over, but it's very definitively Xbox branded. I mean, it's right there in your face as soon as you open it.
I think that's because they've branded Xbox as their entertainment brand.
Yeah.
It's not just for gaming, it's for music, it's for videos. It's to be, like they've said before, they want to be the center of your entertainment world.
Xbox thinks you should watch Magic Mike.
Or the Avengers. Well, or Walking Dead.
I could see it in Chris's eyes. He wants to watch Magic Mike.
So, and I mean, there's definitely a lot of limitations here, and there's a lot of stuff that definitely I can feel needs updated about this. And one of the things that drives me nuts right off the bat is the app experience in through the Tiles interface is actually different from the app experience on the desktop.
I'd heard
Like
that.
this Google Chrome that I just opened from the Tiles interface cannot install the Google Hangouts extension. You actually cannot have the Hangouts extension in this app. But if I turn around and I go to the desktop,
Is that because of the sandboxing methods they're using on things, or?
I'm not certain. That's a technical limitation that I'm wanting to read up on. I haven't got a chance to yet. But it is, it's just weird because it seems like anything that would basically modify or heavily add onto or integrate with an app cannot actually work with the version of it that exists in the Tiles interface, but it'll work fine on the desktop interface. Which I found to be really weird because I only installed Chrome once. I went over to this Get Google Chrome and I did that and I installed it and it appeared in both places. So I made the natural assumption it worked the same in both places, and it definitely does not.
Interesting.
It's definitely a goofy setup, or just a glitch or something that got overlooked. But
I mean, there's obviously things they're going to have to refine, and I'm sure they'll be putting out updates and things like that as life goes on. They have to.
I expect updates will come out sometime in the next week or two, at least one or two, because I'm sure there's bugs that are being found already that they've missed.
I already loaded 5 updates through Windows Update shortly after I actually finished the installation. There were 5 things that it detected it needed to update. So I mean, it's already started, but I mean, it wasn't very painful. Administrative capabilities in this are pretty good. So if you go down here into the corner and you right-click, you get this cool sort of control panel setup here where you can access all of your administrative features in the control panel and the task manager. I mean, all that's still here. If you're worried about Windows Explorer, I can do Win-E, and still here, looks normal. And this also works from the Tiles interface too. So I mean, this is all still here. It's not. And that's some of the cool things is it will automatically bring you into the desktop if that's the place where you really need to be in order for a piece of functionality to work.
That's better then.
So it now some things, like there was a site I tried accessing with Chrome on the Tiles interface, and it said I needed a Java plugin, and it actually said, we can kick you over to the desktop now. And I said, okay, and it brought me over to the desktop and launched the page in the desktop version of Chrome. So that was a thing that it did.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm intrigued enough I want to try it out. I just don't know if I want to do it on my primary machine in case I really hate life after
Tell you, man, quad boot.
Quad boot.
All the OSs. You just be like me and run 4 2-terabyte hard drives.
Yeah, I don't need that much. I got my 1 terabyte hard drive right now, and that's enough for the moment.
One of them's nothing but freaking video.
I was afraid of what you were going to say for a second.
I have a lot of gameplay footage recorded for stuff.
You got to put it in the cloud, man.
Fuck how expensive that would be. 2 terabytes of cloud storage, please. So yeah, about that Windows 8.
So is there anything in particular you guys wanted to see how it worked or what it did, or if there's
you tried Steam?
Yes, I do have Steam installed, and I actually have BitTrip Runner running on this machine. I haven't.
Fuck yeah, amazing game.
Because there were some issues people were thinking were going to appear with Steam.
I think it's more of on a game-by-game basis.
Yeah, I can see, because a lot of the games were developed for other OSs, like 7, or some of the older games were developed for XP.
Yeah, I mean, and the upgrade path on this does say you need to have XP Service Pack 3, or, well, I don't think there was one after 3, but...
No, there wasn't.
XP Service Pack 3 is and they're specific about saying you have to have Service Pack 3 in order to even even go into the path.
I guess one of my questions is going to be, and you might not have run into it too much yet, how good is it with backwards compatibility? Say if you want to play like the original StarCraft. Because I know that Blizzard re-released it to run on Win XP, Win 7, and all that, but...
Going that far back, I mean, Diablo works. I did download a VPN client that I use at work. It's a Cisco Systems VPN client. It did not work when I first installed it, but I actually found this. It had issues with Windows 7 as well as 8, and the registry hack that people had found in Windows 7 actually fixed it so that it worked for me on Windows 8 as well. But haven't installed that many just plain applications. I have Diablo 1 and 2 sitting around here somewhere. I was thinking about digging out and seeing if it would run them. I don't know if it'll run Diablo 1 because that requires one of the old versions of QuickTime.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure, but I didn't know if it was something you'd run into, but it becomes less and less a problem as you go on. It's really if you want to play some of the old school games where it might be problematic.
Warcraft 1, Orcs vs. Humans, which ran in DOS.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're going to need to get a DOS emulator.
Hasn't Blizzard re-released that, though, so it'd run in a Windows environment?
Orcs vs. Humans? No.
Okay.
It's never been re-released. But it will run in Windows 7. It's just sometimes a little glitchy. Just get DOSBox, a DOS emulator, and run it in Windows 7.
It's true. You could use that.
I mean, other than that, Windows 8 just is another OS. It's no different than Mountain Lion or whatever comes out. I'm just hopeful that the Steam push to Linux takes off, so I can just switch full-heartedly and go Fedora or Ubuntu and be done with it. Like, fuck you all and your shitty OSs. I have Linux.
That'd be fun.
It's like, you know how much my OS cost?
Nothing.
Unless you donate to a project.
Oh yeah.
Support the developers. Donate if you're a long-term user.
I know. I think I've donated to the Fedora project about 5 or 6 times because I love Fedora and they do some great work, and they have a lot of offshoot projects that are amazing as well. But I guess just to keep the show rolling and talk about something a little bit different. Now this is kind of tech related, but kind of not. Right now, in the Supreme Court, there's a case that is Kurtzang versus Wiley. Have any of you heard anything on this, I guess, at all?
Yes, I did. I was reading about that earlier.
And the basis of it is, depending on how it's ruling, your right to sell or the first sale legal doctrine could be overthrown. So basically it becomes illegal to resell any books, CDs, games, DVDs, etc. Anything that's got a copyright to it, it may become illegal to resell.
So I'm gonna call it now. I'm gonna say that the Supreme Court is going to cop out on this on a technicality, because there's several interesting conditions involved in this specific case that I think they're going to be able to make a ruling that is kinda sorta in the favor of the copyright companies, but it's not actually going to hurt anyone. And the two things about that are, first, that this is specifically about educational media, or specifically textbooks. And the second is that these are textbooks that are printed with international copyright, not just U.S. copyright. So I think as far as if it's made in the USA, I think we're going to be okay. And I think that they are going to probably, if they rule at all, are going to write it in such a way that it is very tightly controlled just to textbooks printed abroad.
But how can they make a ruling on internationally copyrighted books?
Well, it's first sale of whether or not an international copyright is protected, or by first sale doctrine in the U.S.
Man, that was my beer money in college, was selling my textbooks.
Well, and then the other thing is my understanding is this kid's doing it almost as a business, not like
you mean like all the college bookstores do?
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, from what I understand, he's actually importing dozens of books.
Hell yeah.
And selling them as his own little...
That was the secret I learned my last 2 years at college, was buy the international version of the textbook. It's the exact same, only it's paperback, and it's like a third the price. It was friggin' awesome.
Yeah, textbooks, wow.
See, I thought this was going to go the same route that Amazon's been going when they say when you buy like a Kindle book, you don't actually buy the book, you buy a license to the book that expires when you get rid of it. I thought that's the route they were trying to go with, like, published things here, was trying to make that same argument that Amazon is, and I'd be like,
iTunes does that too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they do that with music too. Technically, even though there's no DRM on the music, once you die, nobody else can get the rights to your music, is what technically is how it's worded in
wasn't there an issue about that where some guy willed...
Bruce Willis.
Yeah, he was having issues willing his music library.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Just make a copy, stick it on a hard drive, and keep it in a fire-safe box for your kids to take.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an easy way to do it versus just saying, I want them to be able to re-download everything I bought on iTunes. I'll just make a copy.
As a hard drive issue, that could become an issue because, like, hell, I have some old freaking hard drives that it's nearly impossible to hook up now. Or actually, it is impossible to hook up now because, connectors and whatnot. And USB isn't going to be around for long. I mean, USB is already looking at being phased out by Thunderbolt, so...
Well, USB 3.0 is designed to combat Thunderbolt.
No, it's not. It's half.
Yeah, but who's the only people using Thunderbolt right now?
Windows
Apple.
and Mac. No, there's already Windows PCs coming out. Dell is pushing out some, as well as HP.
Yeah, but I think it's going to turn into another FireWire. Oh, FireWire is the future, blah, 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 blah. USB killed it.
Well, the only real issue with Thunderbolt is cost. Because if you look at it on a per meter basis for the cabling itself, USB costs about $4 a meter. USB 3.0. FireWire cost about $35 a meter. So it's a 10. Like basically, you say a 10 times increase and an 8 to 10 times increase in cost. When you're looking at transfer rate. Oh, I can have a 5 gig transfer rate or a 10 gig transfer rate, but the 10 gig cost 10 times as much. Are you going to take it?
Yeah, good point. I don't know. I don't think USB is going anywhere anytime soon, to be honest. It's easy. People are used to it.
I mean, I just think Thunderbolt's too expensive.
I do too. That's why Apple loves it.
If their price point was a bit better, I think that they would do all right, but it's just too expensive. Fuck Apple. Two other pieces of tech-related news. I don't think I got one of these in there. Win.com, Kim Win. Whatever his name is, Kim.com, that guy, is relaunching Mega Upload.
Because they couldn't make the case stick on him, basically.
On the 1-year anniversary of them shutting down Mega Upload. And he says that he's taking extents to make it so they can't shut it down again, which I imagine means he's going to go the same way as Pirate Bay and move everything to the cloud.
Yeah.
And by the way, Pirate Bay moved into the cloud, so there's that as well. Since today we've talked about OSs a lot, I have an article in the notes where Kaspersky Labs has been developing an OS of their own. Brand new OS focused completely on security. So basically, do you really think that a third-party OS company can come in and compete with Windows and Mac on any serious level?
It's going to be hard to do at this point.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Ubuntu's... How old is Ubuntu? I mean, granted, it's based on Linux, but at the same time...
the Linux projects have been around forever. I mean, Linux outdates... I think
Linux does outdate them, but I mean, when people talk about Linux, and they can talk about distros, but people who, it takes a lot for a distro to really make a name for itself to the point that it is, I guess, when you say Ubuntu, people know what you're talking about. When you say DSL, people are not, don't know what, might not even realize that you're talking about a Linux distro.
If I go out in the streets, though, and I say Ubuntu, most people won't have any idea what I'm talking about. If I say Mac or Windows, they will.
Ubuntu's like the solid third-party one, but it's like American politics. You talk about the big two, and the third party gets swept away.
Yeah.
I mean,
the only real company I could see, being able to make a dent in the OS world is Google.
If they decide to make Chrome OS, but
yeah,
I just don't think it's that great.
Yeah, Chrome OS was a flop.
They're still running an ad assault with it, particularly on the YouTube.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, the Chromebooks are nice for what they are, but they're not an OS. I mean, they're really not. We're looking for something to replace Windows here.
Honestly, I think the thing you might see with the best chance is if business does not like Windows 8, I mean, most of them are on XP still, so they're going to go to Win 7 next, is that later in the timeline, if there's not a suitable Windows for business, that's when you might start seeing some interest in some hardened versions of Linux and things like that, and start seeing companies shift towards that, which is part of what Microsoft's probably afraid of in the future.
I mean, a lot of server side already runs CentOS or Debian, because those are really solid server.
I'm talking like your workstations that your users have in an office environment. Honestly, I think we're going to start shifting back towards the terminal world of the past, where it's all going to be in the cloud, for lack of a better term, and you just have your keyboard and mouse that's hooked into basically a dumb machine that hooks into a cloud server or something.
Yeah.
And
really,
I think that might be what Google's going for with the Chrome OS, to try and be that in the future, because they've marketed all of their apps and stuff to business very heavily. And there's a lot of businesses and universities that have shifted towards using like Google Apps for everything. All their mails through Gmail, all their apps are running through Google Drive.
Google Docs is the shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
Google
it's
Drive are the same thing nowadays.
Yeah.
Windows 8 is also pushing that. I mean, they've got I think they're calling it SkyDrive, that they are really pushing heavily.
That's true.
Office has moved into a point where the consumer version of Office is cheaper to go to the cloud than it is to try and have your own local license of Office. And with Windows 8, they have migrated. They are running. I haven't fully experimented with it, but the ability to basically save all of it's a lot like the Chrome OS. I mean, all of your account profile information is in the cloud.
Yep.
With only a local copy to get you started whenever you boot the machine up without network access.
Chrome OS works is basically once you log into your Google account on there, it pulls everything your computer you're supposed to have. And it's like what they're doing with their browser nowadays. Is my browser has my preset extensions I like, has my passwords I've saved to it, has all this other stuff. So like when I got my new computer, I installed Chrome, I logged in. A minute or two later, all of my extensions, bookmarks, and everything were in place on my laptop.
My
It's
understanding with Windows 8 is it does something very similar. If I go to another Windows 8 machine and I log in with my Microsoft account, it will start pulling all of my settings, and I don't think it'll install apps, but it'll at least customize stuff as much as it can with what it's got locally.
Yep.
To give me the same experience that I have set up on my machine.
Yeah, and the thing that intrigues me the most about the Chrome computers, especially for a business purpose, is I go log on in California at my friend's house. It pulls everything down to that machine temporarily. I log off, it goes away. I'm at the airport. I log into a Chrome machine there. It pulls my stuff down, or I access my stuff via the cloud. I do my thing, and it all resides there. But the problem you run into is the cloud's not always available, depending on what's going on.
Exactly.
That's the problem with cloud computing, is when it's down, you're fucked.
And Android has been Amazon with their cloud services has had like several stories this year where they have gotten hit and
Sure.
Lost several.
Reddit was down for a day,
services.
basically, because of the cloud services being disrupted.
Everybody knows when Reddit's down.
Yeah, that was the example I was going to give. I mean, there were a bunch of other services that were down also, like Tumblr was down as part of that, I think, and a few other things. But the cloud, when it works, is an awesome thing, but the problem is even if you have 99.999999 repeating percent reliability, that 0.01 time that it happens, it's going to be catastrophic for many people because they can't get their documents, they can't get to here, and if you're on a cloud-based machine, oh shit.
Sure, that's everything. You're done.
That's the fundamental flaw with like the Chromebook, where everything resides in the cloud and you just have like a little bit of local area stuff.
It's cool when it works.
Yeah, it's badass when it works.
But the minute you don't have access, it's like, well, fuck.
Say your internet's down, then you're really screwed.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember that.
Jump your iPhone and tethering.
I'm already fucked when my internet's down, because a lot of times I'm like, oh man, I have no internet. Shit, what am I supposed to do now? And I go to like play a game, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that because it requires internet access now, like everything else. Fuck you, DRM.
You can do without internet now.
You can watch porn.
Only if you've downloaded it. Or have an extensive DVD collection. Chris.
Chris. There's an escape here today.
It's like, which Chris has an extensive porn DVD collection?
Not it.
They're not on DVD.
Oh, goodness gracious me.
So, supercomputers.
Hey, did you ever hear that story about what my mother-in-law got for me?
Was it porn?
6 shoe boxes of Playboys.
Oh, I remember that.
That's funny.
It was my mother-in-law.
Let's talk about some geek porn.
Nice transition.
The Craze Jaguar supercomputer at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory has been loaded with the NVIDIA Tesla K20 GPUs and renamed to Titan. So basically, it says loaded with 18,688 of the Kepler-based K20s, Titan's peak performance is more than 20 petaflops. Think about that number for a minute.
I don't even know what the exponent on that is.
I don't know. I'm going to find out now.
So this thing is running. It has an equal number of 16-core AMD Opteron 6274 processors. So it's running 18,000 16-core processors and 18,000 freaking NVIDIA Tesla K20 GPUs. The Titan, with just the upgrade to the GPU, the Titan is roughly 10 times faster and 5 times more energy efficient than it was prior to the upgrade. And it takes a 200 cabinets to hold all of this thing. It's huge. Basically, it's an entire floor of a building.
Peta is 10 to the 15th.
10 to the 15th?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's a lot of zeros.
The hardware isn't meant for gaming sessions, of course, but the lessons NVIDIA will learn from this will probably help and trickle down into the gaming environment.
Sure.
But come on, that's just cool as fuck. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a 18,000 processor computer? NASA couldn't afford it.
NASA shouldn't be buying into that kind of stuff anymore anyway, but that's my own personal opinion.
Well, this
on
is
that.
actually more being used for genome research from what I've been able to find up on it. Holy fan, Batman.
I cannot hear you guys right now for some reason.
Hear anything. Hey, we got nothing from you.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right.
Yep.
So, yeah. It's a cool-ass computer, though. Come on. Cool-ass computer.
It is awesome.
Also, on a side note, with all these lawsuits and whatnot, there's a few things about Apple and whatnot. Did you see Samsung terminated its contract with Apple? Samsung was making, I believe, the display and LCDs for is it the iPhones or the iPads? I don't remember which.
Both, I think it was.
I found it funny that they terminated that contract with Apple right before they got the contract for the Nexus 10. Just saying. It's like, yeah, we're not going to make you screens anymore, but we're going to make this guy a tablet. just saying.
I don't know. I find the apology that they're required to give very interesting. Did you actually go to their site and read that?
Yeah. Did, but I forgot about it. Yeah, where Apple lost the lawsuit in the UK, right? And they were ordered to run apology ads in the UK. Oh, wow. That's pretty funny. I mean, that's definitely a weird ruling by a court. You need to apologize for what you did. You're a bad boy.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, they did acknowledge, the UK, we didn't win, and then they put in here a paragraph quote from the judge that ends with, the design looks like an object that the informed user would want to pick up and hold. It's understated, smooth. Oh, this is about the iPad. It's a cool design, is the quote from the judge that they put in there. And they also put, regarding the Samsung tablet, they're not as cool. And then they also put in here, however, a case tried in Germany regarding the same patent, and the court found that Samsung engaged in unfair competition by copying the iPad design. A U.S. jury also found Samsung guilty of infringing on Apple's design. So it's kind of like it's definitely a backhanded apology.
Oh, and they're going to come straight out and be like, oh, we did wrong. They're going to keep fighting this as much as they can anyways.
Oh, very much so, but I just found it interesting that they were, I don't know, quite as blatant about, yeah, we might have lost that case and we did lose it, but because their device isn't as cool as ours according to the judge, and we still have other victories that we have proven that they copied us.
don't know. Maybe I'm just tired of Apple. That's what it is. It's like, oh, Apple, they released this new thing. It's the same thing they released last year, or 5 months ago. It's the same thing released 5 months ago with a new name.
I'm just tired of all the fights between them and the lawsuits.
Well, then I think it's bullshit some of the stuff that they are able to get some of this trade dress patenting on. Like, one of the things that they are claiming or tried to claim is the rubber band action on certain parts of the interface.
It's because our software patent system is broken.
Yeah.
Well, our patent system is just outdated. I mean, this stuff was written. These patent laws were written like what 70, 80 years ago or more.
That's true.
And they didn't really realize, the technology. They didn't write them for the technological advancements and whatnot that we're facing today. So they're just out of date. They need to be updated, and that's going to cost money that no one wants to spend.
We've got a modern legal system that instead of using the patent system to build up innovation, they build up a business using the patent system.
Yeah. Why not make money where you can? That's the view of everyone, and you can't fault them for that.
No.
Just wish I'd found to make money on these things. I'm gonna sell bottled water. What do you think about this? The new Macs are not coming with Java, and I guess this is Apple's new fight. They've killed Flash. Now they're going to try to kill Java. I mean,
I don't know if that's as much about wanting to kill Java as it is about wanting about the fact that we've gone through several months of iterations of Java that have had day 0 or day 1 exploits on them that have been, what some security experts are touting as, this is a big deal, be careful if you're going to upgrade Java.
I don't know. I think it's just typical Apple. Oh, we don't want to put what we consider bloatware on there that might slow it down, so you can do it on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I understand them cutting Flash. Let's face it, Flash is a horrible programming language, if you want to call it that. It's just, and it is full of security holes, but Java is not quite as bad as Flash, and is largely more important. I mean, there's just so much that uses Java, and a little bit of it, and them fighting Java, I think is, part of it is anyways, they want to fight things being available on all platforms. If you develop something for Java, it'll work on Linux, it will work on Windows, it'll work on a Mac. But if they say, hey, we don't want Java shit, develop shit for us instead, because we're Mac, then it's not as easy to port that to other OSs. Whereas Java is, and its beauty is universal. And it's, I mean, it's got faults, like it's really, really hard to multi-thread in Java, but it can be done.
Oh, anything that needs, and anything that's highly GPU intensive can be a real pain in Java. Anything that's that needs to interface with specific hardware resources, networking, audio card, video card stuff. That can all, I mean, it's definitely doable in Java, but it's harder than it is in some of the other more native languages.
No, yeah, because Java runs in its own machine. It creates its own machine and runs there.
But one thing that I have noticed is for all that we use Java for, day to day on desktops, and I think JavaScript makes up a lot more of that than maybe we might sometimes give it credit for. What I've begun to see is that the IT infrastructure side, server management with Java stuff is so much bigger than its client side presence. And even in the government, I mean, they have a huge buy-in on Java. They want there's a big push for a lot of stuff to be in Java because they've discovered that if they get something in Java, they can have it run on their old Windows servers, and those who are experimenting with Linux servers, and if a department's moved over to Linux, they can continue to run it. They don't have to worry about losing that support.
Oh yeah, Java's universal. On a side note, not to end anything, but we're about at time. So does anyone want to wrap up with anything? I guess we'll start with Chris.
Yeah, which one? Flew?
Nice try.
Chris, go ahead.
Again, I reiterate.
You're Chris. I'll answer to Ferg.
Oh fuck! I don't really have anything good to plug at the end. Yeah, Windows 8. I don't know if I'm gonna do it yet. I'll download it. That's all I got. Yeah. Maybe.
All right, Ferg, what do you got?
I actually did do some videos with hand cam videoing my PC shutting down, starting up in Windows 7. And I'm going to do the same at some point in the next couple of weeks with Windows 8. Just do kind of a side by side and then throw some videos online. I don't know when that's going to come out. I'm hoping within the next 2 weeks I'll get all that put together. It'll go up on YouTube. That way anybody who's curious about Windows 8 will have some stuff that they can look at as far as how my machine performs and the fact that a lot of this stuff is still there. And anybody who my friend on Xbox, I do not actually have an Xbox, just the Windows 8 integration's been really tight, so I figured I'd go ahead and create a gamer tag.
Gamer tag for the win.
Well, you're farther than me. I don't have one of those things. Steam forever!
I like Steam.
Valve! Yeah, that could be the Valve symbol. No,
They're going to sue you at Paramount, aka Star Trek.
Well, probably.
Yeah, just saying.
Valve?
Oh, it's going to be one of those days.
Yeah, so I guess we'll wrap up.
Just need to mount one of those handles into the back of your head.
Yes.
You should for Halloween this year. Just do that. See how many people figure out what the hell you are.
We did get this. We threw this podcast in with the Junk Food Network, right? Too.
Yes.
Yeah. So you should check out the rest of the Junk Food Network people. I'll put a link somewhere. Don't worry about it. Other than that, thanks for watching. We'll hopefully be back next week with Bald Man and Firecrotch. It may be a different Firecrotch. We'll see. Have a good night, everyone, and we're out.